All right, guys, it's show time, and I couldn't wait for my first guest in 2021. Happy New Year to everyone here. And yes, it's family time. Obviously, it's someone whom I look like as my brother. And the another one is obviously a fatherly figure to me, but he is known to everyone. So, obviously, my brother, Danny and Thom Ives. So, without wasting any more time, I'll just get them on. So here we go. Hi, Danny. Hi, Thom. Welcome to the Ravit Show. How does it feel to be here? And I'm sure this is your first show in 2021.
Definitely.
Yes. Happy New Year, everyone.
I'd like to tell everyone how it feels to be on the Ravit Show, but I'm going to do it as a discussion with Danny. Danny, I'm sure you're sharing this feeling. What is there left for us to do in our career now? We've been on the Ravit Show. It's like we might as well hang it up, right?
Like, I feel that the Ravit Show is right here, like probably beyond the screen, but it's a real pinnacle for all of us. I think it's really amazing that Ravit has invited us over to have a chat. But yeah, I'm really excited for this and can't wait to start answering some questions and helping people out with some of the stuff that we can talk about.
Absolutely.
Wow, these are such sweet words from the best people in the data science world whom I know. Danny, Thom, y'all are the people whom I look as the biggies in data science world. So yes, before I get y'all introduced, I have a few folks who have already joined in. Let's just meet and greet them. So Naresh is here. Hi, Naresh. Hey, Renee. Happy New Year, everyone.
Kushal.
Kushal. Shruti.
Hello.
Alok is here. Alexei is
Alexei.
here.
Oh, Alexei, thanks for coming.
Alexei. Donabelle is here. Hey, Donabelle.
Donabelle.
Thanks for joining.
I saw that question.
Creating data memes. We are going to take all these questions to Tushar for sure.
I think I started making them maybe April last year. I saw some which were really funny, and then I just thought it was really cool. Awesome.
Wow.
It's a lot of people here.
So we have everyone set. I was, many of them was just waiting for you to be, up there. So to start with, obviously, Danny, can you introduce yourself, and then Thom can do the same.
Sure thing. All right. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Ravit Show. My name is Danny Ma, and I'm, how do I express myself? I'm essentially, now I focus my time on mentoring as many aspiring data professionals as possible through LinkedIn, on my Slack channel, through some of the other initiatives that I've got going on. And I try to share my experience across almost 9 years in the data industry, working from almost every role within the data industry. So I've been a data analyst, a campaign analyst, a reporting analyst, a data scientist, data engineer, machine learning engineer. I've done quite a few things, and I've covered enough experience that I really wanted to share my experience and help other people who are going through that same journey. So yeah, these days I spend most of my time just focusing on how I can help other people on their data journey. I think that's it.
Wow. That's quite some stuff that you've already done and you are doing. Obviously, I would want to know more about your ongoing projects that you will get into, but we'll get into it just in a bit. Thom, what about you?
So I've worked for Underwriters Laboratory and a specific business within there called Prospector. And I have the honor of working with a really talented team that's built the world's largest SaaS around a database for plastics, the best database in the world for plastics, and then also for paints, coatings, personal care, and cosmetic products. That way, people developing products that need those plastics and chemicals can come to our SaaS and find what they need. And I am their artisan data scientist, very honored to be so. And then I've also started integrated machine learning and AI in 2019. I lose track. 2019 and 2018, I believe, and just have taken on a lot of young talent, and I just feel so honored. They look at me as a mentor. I look at them as a friend. We just grow more together. That's our motto, and we've become a family, and we're growing rapidly now, and just trying to help each other and enjoying it.
Wow, Thom. And obviously, I have been part of your integrated meetings. I know about it, and it happens every Saturday, and I guess it happens twice a week. But obviously, people would want to know more, and it's like a free mentoring session from Thom Ives, nothing like it. So that is one of the most divine thing that you've been doing, Thom, and I've been very, very happy about something like this is happening in data science world. And yes, so just going on to a question that was asked by Tushar, that obviously I call Danny like the chief meme data scientist. How did you come up with like the memes, and what was the the scenario behind it? I know one of your videos actually got more than 1 million views as well, something like that.
Something crazy like that. I can tell you the origin of how all the memes and everything, well, for me, how they started anyway. So I remember like back in university, back in like 2010 or so, when I was still going through uni, I really loved memes, like just crazy random memes that were being shared all over the internet. And I think I've just kind of always just kept up with all the, like the memes are kind of like the trend of the internet, essentially. They're the things that go around and people share them and it becomes popular culture. So I thought to myself around last year, I actually saw a few data memes and I thought, oh, that's pretty funny. It can be used in a unique way to demonstrate some sort of view that you have about the data world. So I decided to start using memes to express my views about the data world. And so it's actually really funny because sometimes when I post my memes these days, there's like, I find it funny that there's always a mixed response. There's always a lot of people who love memes and they just kind of really enjoy the humor and it's usually very sarcastic most of the time. But there's always a group that don't seem to appreciate the humor or can't see the funny side of things, which is, for me, it's interesting. I totally understand because LinkedIn is supposed to be a professional sort of arena, but I think as professionals, we need to, things don't have to be so serious all the time. And like people like working with other people who are fun and aren't serious all the time and can take a joke and have a good laugh and you can have a drink with. And I think I'm just trying to demonstrate that there's a way to make that happen through social media and just by being yourself, because I just really enjoy those things and I want to let other people know about it. So yeah, that's my story about memes.
I think I totally agree, Thom. What would you say? Because memes and getting that fun around is required out of your professional life. Because I was just recently talking to Andrew Jones on a live session itself, and there he was mentioning about mental health care, because it's a much needed thing today when we are so stressed about work. And obviously data science is a complicated job, it's not for everyone out there. So when you have these fun things going, it keeps you going and it keeps you happy. What do you think, Thom, about it?
Well, first of all, we need to make a correction. Danny's not chief meme officer, he's the meme lord. And we need to be careful with that title. But, when we talk about stuff like this, I cannot not think about Susan Walsh. I live to watch her marketing videos, and I comment on every one of her posts because I love the way she's going about her business. And I even love that she even goes off topic with her lip sync Sundays, but she's a member of the community and she gives us a laugh, and that's hugely valuable. So I agree with everything Danny was saying.
Totally. And we have, you know, Timothy here.
Timothy, fellow
Yes.
UL person.
Oh,
We have
awesome.
Scott obviously here. Hey, Scott.
Scott, big brother Scott.
Kate is here.
She is a LinkedIn user.
She is a LinkedIn world, actually.
I'm actually wearing my dedicated shirt. Just
Wow. So, were you one of the speakers at the Dedicated conference, which is again coming in on Feb 9th, I guess?
I was a speaker at the last conference. I think
Wow.
I asked Kate, but she didn't get back to me about the next conference. But it's okay. I think that's most likely everyone's heard enough from me. So I think it's better that we get other speakers who would share their experience and knowledge, so you can get a wider variety of people. Because I think the next conference is going to be awesome also.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure about it. It's happening on the 9th and 11th. So I guess there are more than 25 speakers. I was looking at, I'll just give the audience a sneak peek of a conference, and here it is. So they can go and register themselves on the dedicated.co conference. Amazing. So it's a free conference happening from 9th to 11th Feb. Here are the speakers. Wow. I think it's houseful.
Great lineup. Great lineup.
Great stuff. Ravit Show is also a media partner. I'm so happy to be on board, and packed as well. Thanks, Kate, for organizing this. We all are dedicated. There's a question from Tushar. Who's funnier, Danny or Scott? Interesting.
So Tushar, I will never say. I think they both bring value to data science comedy or data comedy, because Scott would hasten to say he's not a data scientist. I would argue I don't like the strict boundaries on the terms. To me, he's a scientist of data, but he is the main preacher of data truth, and that's why I appreciate him. And we all know that Danny cares about clarity of approach, and that's why I appreciate him. Yeah, thank you, Scott. Although I think I know what Scott meant about that. Danny can't do puppets. I'll give Scott that, or he's not doing it yet.
I'm nowhere near Scott's level. Not at all.
Oh, and Ravit, let the audience know I can't see the comments right now, but hello to everyone that's saying hi to me. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. There are many who are joining in. So there's Gaeta as well.
Brother Rafe. Hi, Brother Rafe.
So one question here. Okay, Danny, your shirt is nice. It's dedicated. Yes. So one question here to Danny and Thom, both of you. I've always wondered, like, this is a basic generic question whom I ask like all my guests is, how would you actually suggest someone who's entering a data science field? What would be your suggestion? Like the initial suggestion that this should be your thought process when you actually want to get into the data science field.
Dive straight into transformer studies, right, Danny?
That's what everyone would say, right?
Do not do that.
Don't do that. So it really depends on where someone is coming from. So if you're already working in the data industry and you want to progress your career and learn more advanced techniques in machine learning and artificial intelligence and different things like that, that's one component of where you can move within the data career. For new starters and freshers, essentially, who are coming in from either university and they're trying to move into a career straight away as a graduate role, or for people who are in an adjacent industry or they want to do a total career switch and move into data, I think all of these different scenarios have their own different nuances and unique approaches to how you should think about the strategy on how you'll move into the data industry. Thom, what do you agree with those different types of personas that I've discussed?
Absolutely, Danny. And in fact, we have a category on our blog that deals with just these sorts of issues. The first one I did was your personalized learning plan. It's really important to just start planning your learning path, your learning journey, and understand your first plan's going to stink, but it's going to be good enough. It just needs to be looking a half year ahead. Get really good at basic machine learning and in the pipeline, and be really, really good at everything linear and logistic regression. Once you've mastered those, and you can go deep, even if you could do the math and the coding from scratch without any modules, if you can start there, then the world's your oyster in data science. It's because when you get into neural networks and deep learning, they're really the bricks of those are logistic and linear regression. So if you know all that stuff well, then each new thing you learn will be much easier than if you try to dive right into learning the sexiest stuff right away.
Like,
But
I
there's
think.
some, oh, go on ahead, Danny.
No, you go. Finish
Well,
your thought.
I was just going to say too, even if you never encountered difficult people or felt browbeaten by people, just being a data scientist is hard. We study very hard, advanced mathematical things, and we have to apply them through code. So you've got to be gentle and patient with yourself. Take your time, treat it as a lifelong learning journey. If you don't like to continually learn, you're in the wrong field. So just take all of that into account, but also have a real life on the side, because if you do data science full time, well, you're going to not develop any personal skills, and you're going to burn yourself out. So you just got to be honest with yourself about your pace and everything, and don't worry about where you're at. Worry about, did you make some good steps this last week?
100%. I think looking back and celebrating your wins and your new knowledge that you're picking up is very important. I feel that for a lot of people who are trying to break into the industry, there's a lot of focus on, I must get this role within a certain time frame, and I find that pressure is not always a positive thing. Like, sometimes in some situations, it's a good motivational thing to actually like light you up and really get you moving towards your goal. But more often than not, in certain environments like we're in now, where it's difficult to find roles, there's a lot of competition, there's more and more people who are being qualified for data roles. It's only going to get more challenging to actually break into the industry. And this might not sound like really good news, but I think there's great opportunity in that as well, because there are so many people like Thom, like Ravit, like Kate, and all these other great people on LinkedIn and the data community who are just out there trying to spread the message and their experience to help people learn the right sort of tools, or gain the right mindset so you can approach these problems, as opposed to following the trends and doing what everyone else is doing. I think it's very important to have a longer term mindset and really believe in yourself that you want to work in the data industry, and you're willing to learn almost whatever it takes to actually make it and do it. I think having that longer term view, instead of having this pressure of, okay, I need a role in 3 months, otherwise I have to do some other role to get to pay the bills for my family, or different things like that. It's just too much pressure, and you don't need that, especially when you're learning something that might be new and foreign and difficult. So that's definitely one thing. And this is not even talking about any of the technical skills or what language to learn or different things like that. I feel that having that approach and that mindset essentially is very important. And when you talk to people who have that sort of mindset, you can tell almost straight away. And that thing is much more attractive for hiring managers than if you have all these skills that skills are really important too. But I think having that mindset will underpin all of that and make you a really strong candidate.
I want to just add something real quick. Manpreet Bhutraja, those that know about us, she's like a daughter to me. And then Abdul Ajib, a really good friend of mine, we wrote a post together called Being a Data Scientist. And Danny, shame on you. You just went through every piece of that blog post. No, I mean that in a fun way. But seriously, we talk in there. We watched a lot of posts on LinkedIn with all sorts of emotions about landing a role and the way roles are put out for job postings, I should say. And we thought long and hard, and we came at it with a, hey, be a data scientist, no matter what role you're in. Forget what title you have. Take a job. You got to eat. You got to pay rent. You got to take care of your family. But just be a data scientist, no matter where you are. And then do data science. Once you've accomplished the main duties of your role, add to that role with data science. And then what you'll find is you get better and better at doing that. You will have the recognition of being a data scientist. The company may even want to change your job title to retain you. But the spirit is, if you're worried about getting the title right away to substantiate what you think about yourself, that's the wrong approach. That's backwards. Have, do, be. That's been proven to not work. So I would, by the way, it wasn't until a little over a year ago that I had a title of data science. But when did I start learning data science? As a freshman in college, and we won't say what year that was. But the point being, be a data scientist. Or be a data evangelist is probably, I think of Susan and Scott and Kate, they wouldn't say they're data scientists, but they're data evangelists, and they're always being data evangelists.
I have a funny story about the data science title, which might humor you guys. So this talks more about my backstory and how I moved into data from my undergraduate degree. So I actually did actuarial studies, which is kind of like insurance math and business math and different things like that for finance. Right. So I have a decent math background, but in reality, at university, they don't really teach you a lot because you're too often you're doing young people stuff and having the time of your life, essentially. So I honestly did not learn a lot during university. Sorry, my professors. But when the one thing that I did learn was that I did not want to work in insurance and traditional insurance modeling and different things like that. So I moved directly into a data consulting firm where I became a data analyst. And that was where I got my start in the data industry. So I'm very lucky and very grateful for that opportunity. But then when I started doing some of the work, I got bored really, really quickly. And I was always on the lookout for, okay, what's next? Oh, and then I did some Googling. I was on LinkedIn and did different things. And I think I saw that article where the Harvard Business Review said that data scientist is the sexiest job of the 21st century. And I, of course, being young, I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. So then I started Googling and looking at different things. And I think it's called Data Science Central. It might still be up. It's like a blog that has lots of stuff there. But that's where I kind of first discovered more about the different things that data science could do. This is back in like 2013, 14 or so. And from there, I was kind of, okay, I convinced myself that I needed to have the title of data scientist. So I started interviewing for roles where they were interviewing for data scientists. I didn't get any of them because I didn't have any experience as a data scientist. Yeah. So then after that, I moved to a different company where I was working within the bank, and I actually got a role as a data analyst in their digital team. And this was really awesome for me because I thought that, okay, if I get in, I can learn about their data. It's very big data. There's a ton of stuff in digital that's going on. Maybe there's an opportunity for me to do some data science work there. And that's exactly what happened. So after a few months, my boss was asking me, we know you love data science and you've always wanted to do this. Would you like a formal title? So that was how I actually got the formal title. And I remember when that happened, that was like one of the happiest moments of my life. And I say that in complete honesty. At the time I was like over the moon because I didn't think that I was going to get the title because it's a difficult title to have, and it meant an immense amount of value to me personally and to the like to the whole perceived value of the title. But now when I look back to that moment, that was like, I don't know, 5 years ago now or so. It didn't really mean anything. Like when I look back to it, like my title now and my title before, like the only thing that changes is how people might perceive your skills, because there's some sort of expectation that a data scientist has to do X, Y, Z. But these days, like the roles of a data scientist is changing. There's a lot of things, like I talked about the origins of the data scientists, like the actual first ever data scientists were working in like your LinkedIn, Facebook, and they were essentially doing insights to try and figure out what sort of products that they might deploy. And some of these products were using machine learning. Some of them were using more basic algorithms. But the main thing was trying to do everything together and then running experiments off the back of it. I think this is where, like a lot of people now, they think of data scientists as being that like jack of all trades, being able to do everything at a very high level, must have a PhD, must have 10 years of experience using data. And it's just simply not the case these days. Like, I think I've talked enough about this. That was my funny story about the value.
But exactly.
And Dr. Ives agrees, by the way.
This is so actually it sounds funny, but then in the end, when I look at your career, Danny, from actuarial sciences, because I know I have been a part of the actuarial science, I know how it works, and all that maths that you do has helped you in this data science. But also I remember one of your post where you striked off the scientist, and there was like data professional should be the thing, or maybe something around that. I remember it, and I felt so good about it, because title shouldn't actually be like, okay, this data scientist is someone who's about data professionals. I have a feeling, that's my opinion, but what do you think, Thom, about it, that titles do matter?
I don't mean to be hypercritical, but when I see posts that are splitting hairs over what a machine learning engineer is, what a data scientist is, or someone that's an expert in data visualization but doesn't know the predictive modeling side, this is my reaction to that. Next post. It wears me out. I have so much to learn from Kate Strackney, for example. She's a data visualization guru. Kim Harrington, she's an expert data storyteller. Scott Taylor, I think he's going to go down in history as someone noteworthy for the early time of the data age, because he spent so much effort around reducing and making the data message very concise. And George Firakin's right on his heels. People like Danny and Andrew Jones and I, we care about the predictive modeling and pushing the envelope, but we can't get to where we want to go if there's not experts dealing with massive amounts of dirty data like Susan Walsh. So I just see us all as a family. And when people start splitting hair over titles, I just don't want to be part of that spirit, really.
No, I totally hear you on that. I agree. One question for you all, here from Neeraj Satpal. Oh, Thom is just lost somewhere. Sorry, Thom. Danny, Thom, do you think there is some hype where people tend to think data science is sexy? A lot of youngsters try to acquire statistical skills and techniques to play with data. Don't you think without the right domain understanding, it is difficult to get the right results? Nice question, Neeraj.
Great question.
Yeah, so, definitely.
I'm sure people have seen like the Venn diagram of, I don't know if we can bring it up, but there's a Venn diagram where there's an intersection of business, statistics, and I think it's mathematics. No, computing, programming, statistics, and business. I think that's the Venn diagram.
Close enough. Yeah, good enough.
And the data scientist is supposed to be the intersection of all three. That was in the past. So I feel that these days, like the hype is still there in terms of, okay, I want to be a data scientist because I get to do all this crazy predictive modeling and I get to use deep learning and I get to run experiments and I also have to communicate my insights to the business and I have to deal with dirty data. So it's exciting for some people. I think that's where the sexiness comes in because you're expected to do a lot of work and with a lot of current technology, and more often than not, you're expected to be compensated higher for having all these skills. So I think that's where the sexiness kind of comes in. But I feel that in reality, knowing all the tools and knowing how to deal with data, but not having the experience to actually communicate what it means to the actual business that you're working with, that's the disconnect. And I think that we need to focus a lot more on that side of the value equation, because you could be the best technical expert ever, but if you're not solving the right problem at the right time, does it really matter? Probably not. And I think that's what we should all focus on. And I think that's where the move away from data scientists being able to do everything in every single domain is, because that's not really realistic. I think that's moving away and the roles are becoming more specialized. So, for example, you might have a really great practitioner with really good business skills who understands the business area that they're working in. Let's say it's healthcare, for example, where they know exactly what sort of metrics are really important for their business. And then they can kind of use that to communicate with the data people to actually get them to generate the outputs that they need to deliver something to the business. So all these things are coming together, but I feel that that was the original way that all of these things were working. So it's kind of coming full circle again.
Oh, yes.
Just to tag on what Danny was saying, which I totally agreed. I don't think it's so important that the data scientist in his role or her role has incredible business acumen for the business they're in. I think they need really good personal skills to go make friends within the business and find where people are hurting, where they have pain points, and look for intersections between their pain path and how your data skills can help them. And try to deliver really small things that you wouldn't think are sexy or helpful, but just say, hey, I'm going this direction, and here's an initial delivery. What do you think of it? Get frequent feedback from those business partners, because let me explain what I'm getting at. You may think you have great business acumen in your business, but the other business people who are actually doing the business part of the job may not care what your business acumen is. They care what you can do to help them. So show them that you care to help them. And then once they've seen you helping them in small releases, working towards something better and better, they're going to care for your opinion then. But just start helping them.
It's almost like building trust. So when you start working with a new, like let's say you joined a new team, for example, in order for the team members to trust your judgment and to value your inputs, you can't expect them to just trust you from day one. Like, it's a little bit naive. Right. Like, you could be the best, but you have to demonstrate your abilities and your capabilities and your trustworthiness before you can handle more responsibility. And I think if we think of that for our careers in the data world, it makes a lot of sense. So the people that we deal with are, yes, we work with technical people within the data teams, but we also work with business stakeholders who don't understand much about the data, and they lean on you to actually tell them what to do. And the best way to build trust and like building the value between those sorts of relationships is to really, really focus on not only just your business skills, but you have to focus on your people skills to understand what other people are trying to solve, what problems keep them up at night, what are the issues that they're facing in the workplace. And I would say the only way to do this is to actually communicate with people. And that's like through email, through chat, through talking in person, through going on coffees and trying to find out more about them as a person. All of these things are really important, and I think we don't teach those things. Like, they're things that we're expected to pick up on the job. Like, I know for me, that was where I learned most of these sorts of skills. But there's nothing in a curriculum that actually teaches anything like this, which is pretty interesting, because it would be really difficult to actually teach as part of a curriculum too, because it's so freeform. It's very hard to role play a lot of these things, because it's essentially life skills we're talking about here. I think we need to have a real focus on that, because we're data people, but we're all people. So the best way to connect with other people is to be a real person. So I think if we can foster that sort of approach a bit more, we can have a very healthy community who, like, we all help each other move towards in the right direction.
Real quick, other people that preach the way Danny and I are preaching right now about this kind of stuff, of course, the godfather of all of it is John Thompson. By the way, it's one of the few books that I say every data scientist should own, or really every data evangelist. So John Thompson's book, Building Analytics Teams, but also, and I'm going to butcher his last name, Gilbert Ige Kellenboom. He wrote People Skills for Analytical Thinkers. And then, of course, just mind-boggling how much material Andrew Jones with Data Science Infinity has put together. He's made it so that he's training people not just how to do the data science work, but a lot more like how to be productive in their jobs. So it's not just Danny and I that you can learn from in these particular areas. There's so many more.
Definitely. And yes, rightly, you were talking about building analytics, and this is where they can find the book, John Thompson's book. And one of the best books, John Thompson was actually on my show as well. Thom, you must have seen him. One of the best books I have read. You don't need to be a technical expert for this, but if you are interested in analytics, this is your book. Just go and read it. It's amazing.
By the way, the reason I can speak so expertly on all this stuff is because I sucked at it big time many points in my past. And I had to look back and feel very embarrassed that, well, I thought you were pretty good with soft skills, Thom. Looks like you didn't apply them very well there. And it was embarrassing when I was able to look back and say, okay, I got to do things better this way next time.
Yes. I have exactly the same experience. Sorry to cut you off, Ravit. But
no worries.
I think growing up, I always believed that I was a great communicator, and I actually understood what people were like. I actually understood people, but I think that changed over time when I started work, because either the workplace politics comes into it, and I just couldn't read what people actually wanted, or people would like look at the left hand while they slapped you with the right hand, or different things like that. Maybe not so violent, but I think over time, my level of naivete just kind of either increased as I kept believing that I could actually understand people, all up until the point where it turned out that I couldn't understand people, and then I actively had to work on it. And that kind of brings me to what I'm doing now, where I'm just like the thing that I really love doing these days is just having a real chat with people and finding out, like, okay, where are you in your data career? What sort of issues are you working on? How can I help you? And I think having that focus is what has really helped me improve in my career, not only as a data scientist, but as a potential leader of other people in my own company and other companies. I think it's really important because we always deal with people, and the more you can upskill in your people skills, the more effective you can be as a data scientist or a data analyst or any sort of role, really. It doesn't have to be in the data industry.
Yes, completely agree, Danny. And those are the golden advices. And actually, it made me laugh when you spoke about the office politics, obviously, because that is something very difficult to understand if it's happening around. And if you are just not into it, then you don't know anything what's happening. Because obviously, data scientists are more focused towards work. They have some things more important they are into, and it's like a complicated job. It's not that easy that okay, it's you're just working in the background and you know everything what's happening in the office as well. You don't have the time to, or you don't have the bandwidth to actually get into all of those things. But yes, golden words, golden advice. One quick question from Whipple or Thom. I don't know why we can't see
Oh,
you, but
Vipul and I are friends, so
Vipul's message is just too long, so he's just blocked off Thom.
yeah, it's okay.
data science, data
Thom's
science
fine with that.
internships are are having an expectation of
Yeah.
someone who is an experienced person. Also, the ratio of the number of applications to available positions is very high. What are your suggestions for someone who wants to start in the data field, getting some
Yeah.
experience by internship?
So I'll answer this, and I
I
want
think-
Danny to follow up on me.
I think this is one big problem which we've been hearing since a long, and there have been many people who've been asking about this thing, that how can I be experienced if I want to get into an internship? What's the start? So over to you.
Yeah, and hi, Vipul. Thank you for asking the question, and I'm excited to hear Danny's response to this too. So again, let's go back to the be, do, have. Don't worry about your first role being in data science. For example, I was really proud of Manpreet Bhutraja. She took her first role as a data engineer, and I got both excited for her and jealous of her because I knew she was going to get really good at data engineering, which is a huge beneficial skill to all data scientists. But go through practice sets and get really good at doing next level visualizations and clear code and put them on GitHub or GitLab where people can find them. Write LinkedIn posts about your repository when you put a new repo on your GitHub or GitLab pages. Then when you run out of those practice sets and you've shown how good you are with those, or you get tired of them, go enter a Kaggle competition. And don't worry about if you didn't place real high. Go on ahead and say, I did really bad in this competition and I figured out why, and this is what I did. This is what I'll do different next time. There's nothing wrong with being real and authentic, but what you want to do, I need to borrow the wisdom of a young man. I won't mention his name, but his initials are Lewis Owen. And the guy is the perfect representation of Ta. He has his own web page. He frequently writes blog posts. The guy's all over the place. You can find him. And he said this. He said, it's not necessarily the best data scientists that get the opportunities. It's the most visible ones. But I would even add, if you're working hard to be most visible, what you're doing is you're giving to the community. You're being real and authentic about your triumphs and your struggles, and you're sharing that to help people. Well, that level of continual giving and communicating just makes you better at your data science and your data science soft skills. And if you hear people badmouth Kaggle, listen to what they're saying, but at the same time, don't stop doing things like Kaggle. And by the way, Kaggle's not the only one out there. There's other competition sites, and there are seriously difficult challenges. And if you enter them, you will learn a lot just by trying to do good at them. And but just keep trying to find ways to share with the community what you're doing, not in a showboat way, just in a way of hoping to help others.
Can I add to that same question as well?
Yes, sure.
I forgot what the
That's
question.
what we were hoping.
It's about internships. So I'm good friends with Paul.
Yes.
He's a legend. We talk a lot on our Slack channel, which everyone can join sooner or later.
Yes.
Okay, so for internships, I think that it's like, I'm sure you guys have seen it where it's like, oh, well, our company is looking for a data science intern, must have 5 years of data experience and a PhD, and like must be able to code in C, Python, C++, Java, Spark, SQL, everything. So it's true that there are a lot of high expectations for a lot of these roles. And like half the time I think it's a joke when I see some of those internship positions being like being posted up, but I'm sure that the people who are looking for those roles are actually quite serious. So I think that it's not anything wrong with the people who are applying for the role not having enough experience. It's that the people who are setting up these jobs and these postings, these listings of jobs, just have something terribly wrong in their minds, because for an internship, you're not expected to know, like, I would say a tenth of that. Like, because if you knew that much, you would just go straight into a role. You wouldn't need to have an internship. The things I've seen worse, this one might be controversial because I know some people are probably doing these things, but I've seen, like, people have been showing me these internships. So I do inverted brackets, where you have to apply. So you do your resume and you do an interview and everything else. And then these companies will give you the internship where you have to pay them. So you pay them like $1,000 per project that you work on for their company. And that's your internship, but they don't pay you, you pay them, which just blows my mind. Like, it's really crazy. Like, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm sorry if any of you who are watching are doing those sorts of things, but I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. But I think, so onto the advice part. So how do you actually get these data science internships? I actually think data science internships might not exist soon, because if you really want to be doing like the high level functioning data science roles where you're doing experimentation, machine learning, data visualization, communicating with the business, doing all those things together, it's very difficult for an intern with not much experience to actually do all of those things at a high enough level to actually warrant them coming in to a new company for 3 months or something and expected to deliver that sort of value. So I think a lot of the times when we think of data science internships, we might be looking more at what might traditionally be data analytics skills. So you might, like, you're in for 3 months, you might learn a little bit of SQL, you might learn some GitHub, you might learn some business skills in talking about some of the data, but your expectations should not be so high to think, okay, after 3 months, I'm going to be an expert in PyTorch or Keras or TensorFlow or anything which is on the sexy end. Because I feel that if we have these sorts of expectations from both sides, so the business should expect that of the interns who are coming in, and the intern should expect that sort of learning coming out of a 3 or 6 month internship, then I think the incentives will be more aligned, and then you can actually find roles which people are looking for where you can actually contribute what they want as well. So back on Tom's point, I think that definitely having a portfolio of sorts, especially these days, now that, like, because of the pandemic, we're all online, we're much more connected than we were before. Like, I think before 2020, I didn't know, like, I would say I didn't know any of these guys in the data community because I wasn't part of the data community. So if I've been able to come out here and make a lot of friends and make a lot of, like, I would say lifelong friends here just by interacting with people's posts, posting my own stuff, sharing some of the things I've been doing, I really think anyone can do it. You just need to put yourself out there. And for example, I remember when I was first getting into LinkedIn, and I was following Eric Weber and David Langer a lot, and I would just comment all over their posts all the time. And then we would just get to know each other just simply by commenting. And I think I've seen some stuff before. I think Thomas Dinsmore might be the person who I read it from. But essentially the question was, do you need a resume in this day and age? Probably not. You should just check someone's LinkedIn engagement, because that's a very good demonstration of how you would actually communicate with people professionally. And I think if you add on top of that, if you have your own blog, or if you have, say, GitHub pages or different things where you're showcasing some of the technical skills that you have, I think that's almost a fail-proof strategy, where that will easily help you stand out from everyone else who doesn't have a blog, who isn't on LinkedIn, who isn't part of a data community, who isn't contributing or sharing things which they think are valuable to other people. There's just a lot of value there. And I think that's what if I'm looking for an intern, that's the sort of people that I would want to work with. And I'm sure I'm not alone on that as well. I'm sure a lot of people want those sorts of people out there.
I really like the way Danny circled around to what I had said, because as he started talking, I was like, I forgot to mention some things. But to circle back to the pool's question, what we're saying is there's many ways to get experience, build a portfolio. If you really want to be a data scientist, start building up that portfolio, then you can demonstrate the experience. But then again, too, don't think you have to start out with a data science job title. Just get into data somewhere.
100%. I actually recommend for all my people who are on their data journey to actually be very good at data analytics before even thinking about doing predictive modeling, machine learning, deep learning, image recognition, or anything like that, because almost all the roles which are out there in the data industry, I would say maybe 5 to 10%, I'm being quite generous here, would be those sorts of research heavy TensorFlow, Keras deep learning sort of roles. And almost like 90% of them would be doing analytics, doing visualization, data storytelling, insights, maybe applying some statistics, time series, doing some probabilistic studies and different things like that, which are not the deep learning and the sexy machine learning, but they're the things which are really valuable and useful for the business. So does it matter if it's not data science when it's actually valuable and will help you move forward in your career? I don't think so.
Well said. Love it.
Makes sense. I've learned so much just here. And I have a question from Miriam. So, hi, what do you think about business people may know about data science in order to work in a smoother way? I know data professionals need to understand business. So, how is data different from business?
Well, I'll try first, Danny, and please back me up because I'll probably forget to say something important here. This is where I really think it's important to listen to people like Scott Taylor. And and I wanted to say one other point that I think will help us roll into this point. If you think of the data pipeline and you always start with data visualization, you might find that, hey, we just needed good data visualization here. What's the next problem? And I think that's why it's so important to think about the whole pipeline and get frequent feedback from your business partners. But to this other question, I'm going to give a shout out to Greg Coquillo. He's a business type at Amazon, but he's learning data science, and he's really showing us up with how good a student he is of it. And why? Because he really wants to appreciate how to be data driven in his business better. But here's a guy that's so serious about being data driven in business that he's data science and AI top voice of 2020. And he would say, I'm not a data scientist, but this is where it's hard for me, but he's data driven. He's a data evangelist. And so to this, I'm sorry, is it Miriam? Is that who asked the question?
Yes.
Excellent. Great question. When we were talking earlier about making friends with your business partners, finding out their pain points, finding out how data can meet their needs, if you do a good job at that, you're pushing the data age, and as Scott would say, the truth of data age forward. You're doing your part to really help us move into the data age by being that way.
I'll add to I definitely agree with what Thom is saying. Being able to build the bridge of understanding between the business and the data science, and it doesn't have to be data science, it could just be data teams and technical teams in general, is super important, not just for being able to move the agenda in terms of making your company more data driven, but I think it's moving more towards the future together, because the future is going to be data driven. So in a way, I guess you are moving in the same direction with the data, but I also think that as you work closer together and really understand the business, coming from a technical data scientist, as a practitioner, I found that every single time that I actually spent the time to work with the business stakeholders and understand how they wanted to consume information, that was really important and really, really valuable. So some of the things I've learned over time is that as data scientists, we love really complex charts. Like, I would throw as many elements into a chart and it would all make sense to me. But when you show that to someone who doesn't understand charts like you do, it's not going to end up well. So there has to be a level of understanding where I was told, this was a piece of advice I was given for my presentations when it comes to presenting data visualizations. So you always have to make your visualizations almost, we call it like, it must fit the lowest common denominator, where essentially you find like the person who's the worst at understanding data. And if that person cannot understand your chart, it's too complex. And you need to keep your charts that simple. So that was something that was drilled into me very, very often. So every single time I did a mistake, that would be drilled in even further. But I think having that sort of view in terms of making sure that the business understands what you're trying to do, what sort of insights you have, how it can help them change the business, and actually answering the question of, so what? Why does this matter to me? I think the best way to bridge that gap is to have technical data people who really understand what the business is after. I think in the other way, if you have business people who understand the power of data to help them answer those questions, if you have two types of those different people coming in from different perspectives and working together, I think that's where you have like best-in-class data assets and data products and data-driven businesses. I think that's where we should move towards. Like, that's what we should be doing.
One thing to add to Danny's excellent points, when we work hard to build up a visualization, it makes sense to us because we worked hard to build it up. But then you present it all at once to someone who didn't build it up, and you're working with their valuable time. So I like the way John put it. He would have his new data scientist present to the team, and inevitably the first time that person would develop a presentation, John Thompson would say, "Who was that presentation for?" "Oh, me, to show off how smart I am." So really, we need to show how our solution is meeting the needs, not how smart it is. They already think you're smart. You're on our team. Just go present how you are going to solve their need. And when you boil it down to that level of crisp communication, they appreciate it more because they're thinking, I don't need all the details. I need to know what you're delivering to me. But if you're doing that frequent feedback in the process until you get to that big release point, you will not have lost them at that point. They'll be anticipating, oh, this is that thing we've been working toward.
What you said, Thom, was really, it sparked something inside my head. Let's see if I can remember it. Okay, so when we think of like people are really smart. So, like visualize like the smartest person that you've ever met in your life. And did you ever find that person needed to show that they were smart? Probably not, right? Because they were just smart. So in the same way, when we're working with with business stakeholders who aren't as smart with the data as we are, for example, like, do we need to tell them that we're smarter than them? No, because the profession of what we're doing is not their profession. The way that we can demonstrate that we are smart is to actually think as they do and understand the problem as they do, and then tailor our communication so then they can actually understand what we're trying to tell them in the right way. I think that is much smarter than you telling everyone how smart you are. So what you said before just sparked my mind, because I think that's really important.
If we can demonstrate how much we care about the business, and that what we brought, we feel from all the communications that we've had a lot of, that what we're bringing will help, and we're open to where more help is still needed. We're going to be seen as heroes in our organizations, or at least people that are passionate and care at the very least.
Right. Tom, actually, there's a question for you, which I guess we were talking recently, and it's from Tushar. Tom, I see a lot of posts around Transformers from you recently. Can you please talk about it a bit? What's the story behind Transformers post?
So what's exciting is people would have seen that I was doing reinforced learning because it's closely related to my engineering background, and I saw an opportunity to do it on the side because of upcoming needs in my professional role, and I was having a blast. I was like a kid in a sandbox, and I had the greatest tools at my hands and was making this fun progress. But then I was looking more deeply over the holidays at my needs in my professional role, and I was being blown away by the power of transformers. And I thought, oh, I really want to keep going on reinforced learning, but for the sake of my professional role, I'm going to dive in and learn transformers. So all those growth path posts I've been doing, that's just me exploring openly with the community. How do we grow better? How do we learn better? So I thought, oh, this is great. I need to learn transformers. I need to get into this. And then I was able to just take all this brilliance around me that I've been trying to collect into a growth model and apply it to transformers. So this has been just mind-blowingly exciting, Tushar and Ravit. I ended up being friends with Dennis Rothman. He reached out inside one of my posts and made a brother post to it. And now we have a community, a team of learners learning transformers together and sharing publications and posts and articles with one another. But I'm trying to grow in. Obviously, I have some serious learning skills, but I don't like to think of myself as a master. Okay, I'm here with my learning skills. How can I get here and then here and then here? So I'm really trying to pull out the stops to learn transformers as best I can. And why? There's not even a book out on transformers yet. They're so new. They're so hot. They're solving so many problems. I said yet. I am trying to bait everyone. There's not a book out yet. And I won't be the author of said book if it comes out. But boy, wouldn't it be nice if a book would come out? Anyway, but this learning team's trying to help one another. And by the way, even though I've taught Manpreet Bhutraja a lot, now she's my teacher because she studied more papers than anyone I know, with the exception of Marcin, and I'm going to butcher his name, but Marcin, everyone should follow him. If you find one of my transformer posts, you'll find his name. You should follow him. And then Dennis Rothman. Everyone that wants to learn transformers needs to follow Dennis Rothman. He is a giant among us. Probably it's rare. He's probably on par with Giuseppe Bonacorso. I probably said Giuseppe's name wrong, but you need to be following Dennis, not me. Follow Dennis if you want to learn transformers.
That's a surprise for you, Tom. The book is live. I knew about it, and yes, Denise's book is live on Amazon. It's in the pre-order stage. So this is the book you were talking that it's not in the market.
I didn't know if I could say anything, and Dennis doesn't even know that I knew. So I had to be very tight-lipped about it. But I'm really glad that we can announce Dennis's book that's coming out. And I've read some of Dennis' posts. He's a really excellent communicator. He's been doing this stuff for 40 plus years that's related to this kind of stuff. And I love the way he talks about transformers.
Yes. Great one.
Thank you, Tushar, for that question.
Okay. Another one. Actually, okay, first of all, I'll just let the audience know that we are up more than an hour now. And I know it's kind of very late back where Danny is in Australia. It is almost 5.5 hours ahead of me. So that is almost 2 a.m., somewhere around 2:30 a.m. maybe. Oh my.
Yep.
Danny, we just need you for some more time because I'm going to ask you about what are your projects. Can you let us know about your projects? What are you working on? What is your current scenario? I know you're not in any corporate anymore, so you don't have to face any politics. You're out there sitting on your own, owning your own business. So tell us something about it.
Of course. So for the people who might be new to what I've been doing on LinkedIn and on social media and within the Data with Danny community, essentially halfway through last year, I started really wanting to help a lot of people within the data community. So I reached out to a lot of people, and I was thinking about doing something such as building a large Slack group, as well as offering some mentorship for a lot of people who are struggling to get their break into the data industry. And soon after I started doing that, I realized that it was really, really difficult for me to talk to 1,000 something people who responded to one of my original posts that was talking about mentorship. So I had to kind of brainstorm a few different ways where I can actually help a lot of people as much as I can, and also not spend all my time doing that and not having time for my family and my friends and all the other things I want to do with my life in general. So in the past, I would say the past 4 months or so, I've been working away really, really hard on trying to deliver some sort of, I'd call it like a virtual data apprenticeship program where I just wanted to share all of my knowledge and all of the experiences that I've had up to date, learning all these different tools and different things and different mindsets and techniques in the data world. And I wanted to bundle it into something in a way where I can. So one of the big things about online courses and different things is I've seen a lot of programs where people charge a lot of money, like a lot of money. And the people who really need to learn these skills don't have the money to pay for it. So one of the major barriers that I had when I was building all of these things was how do I give the right information to all the people who need it around the world and not charge an arm and a leg for it. So this brings me to, it's quite intimidating for me, but I'm launching my Data with Danny school essentially, and I've shared Ravit the website, which is going to bring up, I think, and it's been a few months in the making, and I'd like to thank everyone who's worked with me throughout this one to bring it into fruition. Thom and Ravit has been a big part of it, as well as, I'm not going to try and name everyone because I'm going to forget everyone's names, but I think thank you everyone who's been a part of this journey, and I think we'll see some stuff right now.
Yes, just a second, and I need to actually look. And yes, this is the first time I'm anyone might be looking at the revamped website of Data with Danny, and here it is. Danny, can I play this video and see how it looks like?
Let's try it.
Okay, let's do it.
So you might have seen some of these attractive headlines on LinkedIn or social media. Data is the new oil. Data scientist is the sexiest job of the 21st century.
Yeah.
Data, data, data.
Data.
Back in 2011, the McKinsey Global Institute published a report on the total shortage of data talent required to take full advantage of the new digital big data world. This report estimated a shortfall of 140,000 to 190,000 deep analytical talent positions and 1.5 million more data savvy managers. And this was only in the US alone. Can you imagine the size of the overall global demand? Since 2011, a few things have happened in regards to the teaching of these in-demand skills. 1. Universities have released new degrees focused on data science, machine learning, and AI, charging people a bucket load of money for the privilege. 2. Data science intensive bootcamps have also entered the education marketplace, charging people a relatively smaller bucket load of money, promising to teach them all the technical skills they'll ever need in just 6 weeks, even if you don't have a coding background. And 3, the launch of digital platforms like Udemy have enabled people to market their own online courses. However, these online courses are often hit and miss, as there are low barriers to entry and no peer-reviewed universal curriculum for data science learning. These courses could cost you from a few dollars all the way to a few $1,000s for a premium offering, complete with the guarantee of a new 6-figure job within 12 months, which is not really that feasible when you think about it. So the billion-dollar question is, if there is so much educational content out there, why does it still seem impossible to break into a data role?
That's the end of it.
Wow, this is amazing. I feel I'm signing up for this. But Danny, how can I actually sign up? And is it still in the making, or what's the story? Has it launched? These are the courses. These are the technical focus areas.
So the website kind of goes through a bit about my background and my journey and what makes me, or why I think I'm qualified or have the experience to kind of share more of my experience with everyone else. And then it kind of goes through some of the different topics that I wanted to cover through this school. At this stage, I have actually opened a waiting list for the first course, which is called Serious SQL. So if you click on any of the Start Now buttons, or if you click on the Serious SQL course tab, you'll be able to see a lot more. And currently, what I've got on at the moment, so I'm still working away, trying to make sure that it's the #1 SQL learning experience for everyone in the data community. At the moment, I've set my price to $29 US. But if you join the waiting list, I'm going to give you guys a $10 early adopter discount. And this remains in place no matter when you want to take it, as long as you're on the waiting list. So Ravit is signing up straight away, which will be awesome. I'll be able to see all the people who sign up. So for the people who are already part of the Data with Danny community, please still fill out the form and I can see what's going on. And I'll be able to follow you up with that coupon code also. But yeah, the SQL course will cover a ton of different things, and the focus is mainly going to be on learning different techniques through case studies. So I've got a few very unique data sets in there. Some actually come from some of the people who I've helped directly through the Data with Danny community on our Slack channel, and they've very gratefully provided me with some data which I've put into a very simple Docker-based environment for everyone to use. But yeah, I really hope that people can check out this website. I actually did everything myself, so I didn't hire like an extra web developer or anything. So I'm quite proud of what I've done so far. And Ravit just clicked the Data with Danny sign up as well. So if you scroll, I think about 75% of the way, you'll get a pop-up asking if you want to join the Data with Danny community. But yeah, I feel for anyone who's interested, please check out the page. It'll be in www.datawithdanny.com. Nice and simple. But yeah, I will share the link directly in the comments as well. So here we go. But yeah, I hope everyone can take a look. I guess now that I've shown everything, now I really, really, really have to deliver on this, and I'm really, really passionate about helping everyone and trying to do as much as I can. But I've tried to put in as much content and learning material as possible, because my belief is that everyone should have access to learning materials and not have to pay an arm and a leg for it. So I'm trying to keep my prices as low as possible. And if you look at some of the different content on there, you'll see that there's much, much more. This is going to be much, much more than just a SQL course. I'm really here to kind of carve out a whole new domain that I want to specialize in, because I want to do this full time and really dedicate my entire career to helping more people make their break in data. So thank you.
Oh, yes. Danny, amazing stuff. Amazing, amazing. And I really love your website. You have created yourself. This is something I couldn't even believe at the first time you told me about it, that you are creating everything from start till the end. So front end, back end, data, machine learning, SQL. What you don't know? Tell me about that. You know everything in there. Tom, what do you think about the website? It looks so cool.
If you scroll up a little bit, you can see what I think about it. Oh, wait, maybe it's down. Where am I, Danny? I had the honor of being right there.
Wow.
So I've been in the secret know about all this for a while, and just eager to help Danny once he launches. But I see some of the people that are from Integrated already signing up. I hope everyone will sign up. If it weren't a matter of time, I would sign up. I kind of want to. I want to sign up for Danny's and Andrew's and David Langer's, Andrew Jones, I mean. But all this stuff is so good.
I think one of the things that I love about the data community, and there are so many people who are delivering courses right now, and I think it's all the price points are really great that you can actually take on multiple courses and you can learn from multiple people, so you don't have to be very religious about who you're going to learn from. You can just learn from as many people as you can. So I know that a lot of other course creators and the other things, like a lot of people are really competitive. Like everyone tries to carve out their own little island, or they're trying to take sales from different people. And there's a lot of focus on making money from courses. But I think for a lot of us in the community, we need to make money to like kind of feed our families and have a good living, essentially. But the main focus is to help a lot of people, and to do it sustainably. This is the right way to do it. And I think as we get more and more people onboarded onto these different programs, there'll be a lot of community spirit. And I can't wait for everyone to pick up all these new skills and demonstrate what they can do to get that new job, to do something better at work, to improve their standing, or to get a new role. I think that's really cool. And I really can't wait to have that sort of impact on more and more people.
By the way, another one of
this amazing stuff. Yeah,
I just wanted to give a shout out to another one of our awesome educational buddies out there, Manjunatha Gumaraju. He's got great stuff on his YouTube channel.
Yes.
Everyone should be listening to him as often as they can.
Oh, I've got Koo from YouTube.
Yeah, we should have mentioned Koo.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Oh, thank you, everyone who's signed up already. I'm very, very, very honored.
Already signed up. Yes,
Yeah, you got
Danny.
some new sign-ups, Danny. It's great.
This is actually this is the first time I've shown anyone, like Tom, this is the first time I've shown Tom this whole website. So This is all very brand new and hot off the press. And I'm just praying that everything works out well.
In fact, it's been really hard on me, Ravit, because for months I've been wanting to do Fanatic Friday for Danny, but we were waiting for this. So I guess the cat's out of the bag. Who's going to be the object, the next victim of my Fanatic Friday post? Finally.
So Tom's been on my case for like the last 2-3 months. Like, oh, you should launch it straight away, so then you can iterate. But I'm a bit more, I would say, conservative and a bit more cautious of what I wanted to do as well. So I think I really like doing things my way, if people haven't realized. So when I thought about all of the different strategies, I kind of looked at what everyone else was doing and decided to do something totally different that only I can do. I think that's how a lot of people should think about not just their services and what they're doing, but in terms of when they're working. No one can do your job as good as you can, and it doesn't matter what your job is. I think if you really put your heart and soul into it, you'll outperform anyone who's trying to do the same thing as you, because they're not doing the same thing as you. And that's the same on LinkedIn and other platforms. If you're very authentic to what you're doing and your true self, no one can beat you at what you're doing. I wholeheartedly believe in that.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
completely. And
Excellent.
this is something, Danny. I have always known you since, like I've heard about these courses since a long time that you were doing something, and we've had our chats around it, and you were like, yeah, it's in the making, it's in the making. But you have taken your time. I remember we spoke back in September, and you were like, it should be done in 1 month. And then I spoke to you back again in November, and you were like, I think 1 week and I'm done. But I know how, how cautious you are about your courses, about what you're giving to the folks who are actually signing up. If it's you're making sure that the courses should get them to that maximum level of expertise or what they're signing up for. If it's a beginner level course or if it's something like serious SQL, obviously then you are making sure that all the tickers are with them and they tick everything possible in that course. So this is and it's still in the pre-order stage. That's what I was wondering, that okay, Danny has launched his courses. It's like in there but still in the pre-order stage. So but can't wait, Danny, and all the very best for this thing, because this is huge, and I think the community will love it for sure. Fingers crossed for you, and wishing you lots of luck.
Thank you so much. I think I'd like to also make a special mention to Kate Strashny, who really helped me out when I was starting off on this whole journey of thinking about doing online courses. Because originally I was very against the idea because I didn't think that it was very, let's say, ethical to charge a lot of money, and I wanted to do everything for free. But then Kate kind of convinced me that, oh, you want to do this long term, right, and help people with your knowledge and experience for a much longer time. So you must think about these things, even if they're really uncomfortable. So I feel that thank you so much to Kate for really pushing me to go down this path. Otherwise, none of this would really have happened. So thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who supported me along the way. Like when all the conferences come back, we'll have to definitely meet up all in one place, and we'll probably live stream the whole thing.
Oh yes.
And I think that'll be really
Definitely.
fun, but I can't wait to express my gratitude to everyone.
Oh, that will be fun for sure. Talking about work, actually, I also wanted to ask Thom about what is he up to. I know he does the mentoring sessions. Thom, you actually, mentor folks in their, the beginner's journey, how they should actually get into the data science field, or if they're looking at data, what should be the, thought process while they want to get into it. What are you up to these days?
Well, I love my role with UL Prospector. It's a fascinating business. I'm doing pretty cool stuff for them. It's very challenging, but I'm very encouraged by the progress with it. And then integrated is always fun because we've become a family. We don't even have a leadership team. We have what we call a stewardship team because we're there for the community. We're trying to serve them, encourage them, help them get over all the things that they have challenges with. So my partners in that now are Wraith Sankari, Giovanna Malaga, Manpreet Butraja, Tina Mary, and we just asked, and I'm forgetting her last name, but I think everyone knows Dinah from Tunisia. And we're just excited she joined us. But it's not like we're leaders. We're just the people that plan how we can better help our family, our community. And we call it integrated mentoring because I just wanted to insist, I know you've come here for my mentorship, but that won't be the best I can give you. The best I can give you is a platform where we can all help one another. And that's what we strive to do. But we also do try to write some serious blog posts, and we've got bigger plans coming up. Wraith and I are going to form a YouTube-based course, and the first one's going to focus on the machine learning pipeline. And
Wow.
we're very eager to get that out. It's represented by a talk that Lewis Owen, Tina, Mary, and I have given several times. We're still going to give another one of those talks in January together. But that's going to turn into a blog post and, again, a whole course. We're hoping to help a lot of organizations in Africa with that coursework too, and around the
Amazing
world.
stuff.
And then
Do you have
Raith and I are already planning a textbook, so we're excited about that too. We're just starting to look into that.
Wow.
That sounds awesome. Is that so? Did you say that the focus of the machine learning was to be used in other countries? Did I hear that correctly?
Well, it's it's not just other countries. We're trying to make it so it's usable worldwide, and we've got it. I'm not trying to hold secrets here. I'm just trying not to speak too long. The vision that we're developing for the way to do this YouTube-based class is really unique, and it's going to be an experiment, but we have high hopes that it'll be unique in a way that's very helpful. But Danny, more to your question, what we're really excited about is the publisher we're working with for this machine learning textbook. Every release is going to be bilingual.
Mm.
And we're very excited
really
about
cool.
that. Yeah, so for example, probably always be English on one side, but then it will be like in Arabic and Hindi, and trust me, we already have people lined up to help us with translation, Spanish, German, French, you name it.
That's really cool.
So we have Dennis here. Dennis says, fair play with your competitors, and the way you talk about data is super cool, Danny. And for you, Thom, as well.
I'm humbled. When Dennis Rothman gives me a compliment, I am humbled. I'm honored to be friends with that man. Thank you, Dennis.
I can feel his words warming my heart just by reading them.
He's a giant among us, brother Danny.
He is amazing. I'm actually, he'll also be on the show soon. I'm planning to, since his book is coming out, Transformers for NLP, I am planning to just get him on board and, have some chat around Transformers, because we don't know about it. And we've just, this is the first book, I guess, on Transformers. So yes, Denise is obviously on the list if he agrees to be on the Ravit Show. But talking of, books, I had a question for you, Danny, you and Thom, you as well. What are your plans to write a book, a tech book or a data book, or how does it, what are your plans around it?
You go, Danny. I'll go after
you. So it was, I think it's honestly a dream of mine. I'd love to be in a position to have like the opportunity to actually write a book. I think that's amazing because it's a very scalable way to actually share your knowledge in a written format. And I've always enjoyed writing growing up. So I'd love to write a book. It would be super, super, super cool. I just don't know when I'll actually find the time to write anything because I just have so many different balls I'm juggling in the air. But I recently had an idea where I'd love to write something which is not technical, but it would be more about maybe like a Zen data, or having something about like raising your confidence and doing different things with more of like imagine like Zen Buddhism, but I'm not Buddhist, but something around those sorts of, like I'd want to give advice in a very different way and really make people think about what they're doing with their careers in data. Because I think that's a really interesting space where very few people have written many things about. I think like Gilbert and John Thompson have done a ton of stuff in there. Oh, Dennis, my heart is warming again. Thank you very much.
That's a great comment. You gotta write that one down for yourself, Danny.
I think it was actually Harpreet who sparked that thought in me when I don't know if you guys saw his post earlier, but he made a comic
Oh yeah.
where I was starring in his comic as like a Zen data monk that was giving some advice to a mentee, and it was very fun because it was sort of like in a lot of the Zen Buddhism and the other things, they actually the way that they give advice is in a very roundabout fashion. So I think in Harpreet's story, there was someone asking, "Oh, how long will it take me to become a data scientist if I work 6 hours every day?" And then the cartoon character of me would say, "Oh, that will take you 5 years." And then the guy asks again, "How long will it take me if I studied 10 hours every day?" And then I said, "Maybe 10 years." And the person just looks crazily confused. I think Harpreet can probably tell it better, but I think those sorts of little nuggets of advice, which is very, people don't expect those sorts of insights. I'd love to write a book about those sorts of things specifically for data professionals and people working with data, because I think that's going to be really, really important as the world focuses more on being data driven.
Oh yes. Amazing
But
plans, Danny. We can't wait for your book as well, because I'm sure after courses you get some time, and we can't wait for
Who
said
knows?
book. Now I know my plans.
I want to know about Tom's plans. Enough about me. I've talked enough today.
So do keep me on track here. There was one other shout out I want to give. I love what we're doing with integrated mentoring, but there's a brother or sister group to us, and that is happy hours with Harpreet Sahota. His happy hours are awesome. You should try to go to those on Fridays. And also his The Artist of Data Science, that podcast is top echelon stuff. But okay, back to me. So I actually wrote a book in '97 called Design and Modeling of Hybrid Electric Vehicle Power Plants. Now, some people call that a dissertation, but it was probably read by no more than 10 people. And so it's been that long since I wrote what I would call a book. But like I said, Raith and I have become very close friends, Raith Sankari, and we hope to write this textbook together. We're seriously planning on it. But if you guys have followed our history of education and our Wednesday homage post, we hope to write also a book together on the history of education and of science and math, and also great scientists and mathematicians, because we didn't get to learn that type of history, and we didn't get to learn science and math from a chronological historical viewpoint. And there's so much we can learn when we look at it that way. So he and I are on this journey together, and when we were talking to the publisher, he brought it up then, and I said, Raith, I was already thinking that too. I'm glad you feel the same. So we basically are hoping for that would be the first two in a series of books that we hope to do together, but not just he and I, but our whole integrated team as well.
Nice plans. So amazing.
Thank you.
I'd love to read that textbook. I think it's really, really insightful.
We're going to have one that's going to be in English and Australian.
Oh, can I help you translate it?
Yes, we will need your help for the Australian part. And then Andrew Jones will help us with the English and New Zealand. Sorry, Robert. Okay, we're diverging.
No worries. My one and final question for you two is, Danny, if someone wants to find you, what is the best place? Where should they actually reach out to you?
So unfortunately on LinkedIn, I've hit the 30,000 connection limit. So if I looked at my number of connection requests now that I haven't responded to, I think it's almost 2,000. So I'm really sorry for the people who've tried to connect with me recently. I actually can't connect with anyone. So until LinkedIn fixes that, you can definitely follow me and feel free to shoot me a DM into my inbox on LinkedIn. But these days I find that it gets really flooded. So I'm starting to do what Kate does, where she just kind of sits down and responds to a lot of in-mails, like once a week or so. But since I've been doing the course launch and everything, I've kind of not responded to a lot of messages there also. So I'm really sorry to the people who I haven't gotten back to. I would say the best way to reach me is probably to join the Data with Danny community, jump on the Slack channel because I'm pretty reactive on there, and you can shoot me a direct message. We have a few different channels where one of the channels is actually a direct Ask Danny channel. So if you have any questions that you want me to answer, you can ping me directly in that, and then I'll type a response, and everyone in the community can see it as well. I think if you don't want that though, and you want to send me a private message, you can probably just shoot me a DM directly on the Slack. I think that will do it as well. But yeah, try it. I'll share the link, or we'll try and update the description of this or something with a Data with Danny community sign up link, and as well with the website as well. But if you hit the website, if you scroll down a little bit, you might see the community link also. Some pop-up will come up on the page, so that might work too. But yeah.
Amazing, Danny. And what about you, Thom? Where should people find you?
I haven't hit the connection limit yet, but for people that prefer just to follow, I just try to follow everyone back that follows me. And I'm always trying to learn to be more effective on LinkedIn, but I try to answer every message. If you don't find me answering your message, please just ping me again, because sometimes my message list gets very deep. And I try to reply to every comment or react to every comment on my post. If I don't, it's just because I haven't gotten to it yet or I accidentally missed it. But I love interacting with the community. I really appreciate our community very much.
Amazing, Thom. Thank you very much.
Please connect with me. I would love to connect with other people. That's all I was going to add.
Okay, that's great. And also, talking about community and books, since we were talking about books, I wanted to plug what's going on in Pact, that is $5 campaign for everyone. So all the books at Pact, all the ebooks and videos are for $5. So people can actually go and buy any book they like to, because everything's for $5 for next 7 days, for a week left. So go and grab some books if you wish to upskill yourself. This is what I wanted to tell. What do you think, Thom? $5 campaign is something which is the right way to give it back to the community and community get benefit out of it?
That's like putting drugs on sale to a drug addict for me. I'm a learning addict. So you just it's like sitting over here trying not to drool. My mind is drooling.
$5 is so good. Yeah, that's amazing. Unheard of.
Oh, yes.
There's a few books that I'm going to buy.
Superb, Danny and Thom. I know there are many folks who've joined in. There's George here who's joined in. And he's thinking we are still up. Obviously, Danny is the man who has kept us till more than 97 minutes now, and he is somewhere in middle of the night. Thank you so much, Danny. This is unreal that you waited back for so long, and it's obviously middle of your night. But here's the time where obviously I don't say bye to my family, but obviously we are getting back when you have your courses launched, Danny. Definitely, then we'll talk a lot about your courses. And Thom, obviously I'll be catching up separately with you two, on the Ravit Show. But I wanted to start this New Year's with the family together and have this amazing, great show where I can actually, I could learn so much, and I'm sure the audience learned a lot as well. So thank you two for actually spreading so much awareness and great insights. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to the community. And a shout out to Ravit, because he's the super glue of our community.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us on today, Ravit. It's really, really awesome to just catch up and just kind of have a good chat with both of you.
Amen.
Pleasure is all mine. But thank you everyone for joining in, and it was great to take your questions. I know there were many questions, but definitely Danny and Thom might take it offline. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly. You can DM me on LinkedIn, and do not forget to subscribe to the Ravit Show on YouTube. Okay, guys, have a great night. At least I'm in the night zone. Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.
See you, everyone.